Right, good morning, welcome back. Okay, where are we? Day 19 Hayabusa build now. I just want to say thank you first of all to Fernando from New South Wales in Australia for the plate. That's absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate that, sir. Thank you for taking the trouble to send it. I know it's not a straightforward business sending plates from Australia and various other countries in the world, so we deeply appreciate the gesture. We know that you're taking a chance in that sense, and I'll leave that there, but there we are. All of these plates are a token of your kindness and your esteem and your regard for us, so we treasure and value every single one of them. So there we are, the latest one up. Fantastic, thanks Fernando. Wonderful, my friend. Okay, now before I get started today, I just want to show you this. With all of the fantastic support that we get from our Patron team and all of the people that send us small individual sort of donations, we put everything we possibly can into the garage, into the equipment, the tools, the machinery, everything we use, and we're constantly trying to upgrade and better myself so that I've got better tools to use. And a lot of that is at the guidance of you yourselves. You write to us and you say, you should get one of these Dell, you should get one of those Dell, absolutely. So, following advice, I found these absolutely superb. So before we actually get stuck into the bike, I want to show you these because I think they're absolutely novel, really cool, and I absolutely love them. I'm looking forward to using them. I bet you haven't seen this before. Right, okay, just to set the scene on this, these are my Fabrication ratchet ring spanners. I bought them a while back for the purpose of keeping on the bike. There's 8 different sizes because each one of the heads on these is double-sided with a different size each end. I covered these a long time ago. You've got 16 and 17 on that end. 18 and 19 on that. So with these 2 spanners I cover the 8 main sizes on a bike, and there's not much bulk or weight there to carry in your tool roll. So that's why I bought them, really, for their compact nature and the fact they cover so much application. But for garage use and everything else, I wanted some more ratchet rings because I love them. They speed things up and make life a little bit easier. So this is what I got. Now, these are Geodor Red. If you don't know the difference, there's Geodor Red and Geodor Blue. Geodor Red is the common working man's version, the ordinary brand, the at-home brand, the domestic brand, call it what you like. That's their lower end market stuff. The Geodor Blue is the high-end stuff, it's the professional stuff up there with Snap-on and so on, and it costs an awful lot more money. If you know exactly the best way to Google the prices, look at Geodor Blue tool set and then look at a red to it, and you'll see the difference in price is colossal. These are actually halfway affordable. Now, this particular set I wanted because of one feature about them, which it just blew me away. I've never seen it before. Maybe you have. You know, I do live in a bubble sometimes. But these are what you'd imagine. There's nothing remarkable when you first open it. A set of standard combination ratchet rings. So let's pull out one. We've got 13mm there. So it's a ratchet ring spanner. Let's bring you in close so you can actually see this, because what I want to show you about this is amazing, and I think you need to see it up close. Just put it there for a minute. I'll show you. Alright, so just to simplify it, I just took that and laid them out a bit. There we go. So that's the one we just saw, 13mm, and you take the 13mm adapter, you get 4 adapters in all, and that fits in the 13mm, and it's a 3/8 drive socket. Job done. Use the big 19mm, you get a 1/2 inch drive, that goes in the end. It's marked on there, 19, so you ain't got guesswork. Snap that in, you can put big fat sockets on it. So you've got 1/2 inch, 3/8, and obviously 1/4 drive. So the little 10mm 1/4 drive head goes in, and little 1/4 drive sockets. Easy. And as an extra, the 10mm, the little 1/4 drive comes out. You can also put that one in, which is a screwdriver, bit driver, or for Allen heads or whatever, Torx, anything you like. It's a little bit driver for putting bits in the end as well. So there we are. How novel is that? Now I know that probably sounds like a little bit of a promotion, but it's not. I genuinely have bought these, and if I don't tell you about it, then you don't get to know about it. And I really thought I'd like to share that with you, because this stuff with these little adapters, I've never seen that before. Genuinely, I've never seen them. I think they're absolutely clever. Love it to bits, and I should be using them a lot. So there we are. I'll stick a link in the description underneath to the Spanner Monkey website, where you can get yourself some if you want to. Okay, so the task today is to get the angle between these 2 radiators correct. I've just got to adjust this bracket. I've got to cut a little slice out of it, cut it back a bit and re-weld it so that that radiator can lay inwards against the engine and the oil cooler can lay outwards. Now I have also located the union adapters that I need in order to use these Goodrich hoses. These are Goodrich hoses. They've got all the relevant adapters on each end. I can use these hoses. It will just be a case of plumbing them. There's plenty of extra length that I don't need as well, so I can cut them down and reseal them when the time comes. But for now, today, It's just a case of this bracket is there, it's in place, it mounts the two together on isolastic bushes, which is what I need. It just needs now some trimming, some cutting, adjusting, and perhaps some grinding up so it looks nice, and then it will hopefully hold them both in the right position so I can put the bottom mount for that radiator onto its standard weighting mount point, which is right there, 2 inches away. I can't quite get to it, and at the bottom then it means making, if I get time today, a little something underneath to hold it up and then mount it to the bottom one once it's all at the right angle. So let's get on with it. Right, okay, now I'm really chuffed with that, really chuffed. That's now its correct angle exactly and mounted on its 3 factory mount points. Superb, bang on, lovely, all on isolastic rubber bushes, excellent. And so is now the oil cooler. As you can see, these 2 inlet pipes, or the inlet and outlet pipes, I left them on. They automatically fall exactly where these 2 inlets are. So I've mounted that in exactly the same factory way. Nothing will change there, happy with that. They just fall perfectly where they did. I've got to get the adapters for them. I've spoken to the right company. I know they're going to get me some adapters to mount take off the flanges that these things hold on to, and then come up with something that I can screw these adapters straight into so I can actually use these Goodrich hoses. I said that earlier, didn't I? I think I did. Repeat myself, but there we are. That's now mounted. Now, at the moment, it's actually a bit too kicked out at the bottom for the moment, but it will drop in very slightly, about 1 inch at the bottom, and it will fill the original space. The reason it's not at the moment is it's hitting the original mount, which is a little bit too high because this oil cooler is a little bit longer than the factory one, so I need to bring the mount underneath down slightly. I'm going to have a quick look how to do that. I reckon it's a sheet metal bracket, it should bend, but it's rusted. Do I need to say any more? And it's bolted to the engine with very rusted bolts. Do I need to say any more? So let's just quickly get this off, get a little socket over those bolts and see if I can shift them. Right, step down here. Right, they're 8mm and 6-sided is the only way. So let's see if we can get in there. Pipes are in the way. I can't I'll get a straight access. That kind of goes in there, so that's twisted. So I can't get straight on either of them. But as of today, I've got just the tool. 10mm, quarter drive adapter. An 8mm socket. I like that. Right. Nope. Okay, now thanks to that little tool I can get in there, get an 8mm 6-sided socket on it, nice and square, nice and firm, and get a nice pressure upwards and undo that once the thread is freed off. It's not at the moment, but at least that saved the day. Trying to get in there with this, swivel heads and stuff, you'll always be at a bit of an angle, you won't get the right purchase on the head, and a little 8mm head with rust on it, it's just a recipe for it. It's going to slip off, chew the head off it, and then you just got all sorts of problems. But that gets you in there absolutely perfectly every time, because so often having the right tool to do something means you won't mess it up or chew up threads, heads and bolts. I love it. Well purchased. Happy with that. Right, now none of these can I even bother to touch now. I've only got WD-40. I've ordered some Worth Rostoff ice. Now that's at your recommendation. A dozen of you said get Rostoff ice. It's amazing, you use it, it always works, it gets any of that stuff off. So I'm going to trust in that. I've ordered a couple of cans and I'm going to try all these nasty little M4 fasteners. The ones that hold this bracket, the ones that hold these oil lines, etc. and down. I'm going to get them all out, hopefully using that stuff. And of course, my header bolts themselves, the big M8s that are up inside there, I want to get those out too. They're probably going to snap off if I don't use something really special like that, and I maybe even a little bit of heat as well. Take some heat down inside the thread and release it, because these are all threads into aluminium. And the problem with that is it's not just a case of cracking them off. Once they've cracked, they're free to come out. That's very rare unless there's loads of anti-seize on there, because what you end up with is this white powder. That white powder corrosion that develops between the steel and the aluminium, it's a reaction. As soon as that happens, that powder builds up and it forms a wedge. So as the thread, even you've cracked it, you've got half a turn, that's fine, you think you're home free, you keep turning, it goes tighter and tighter and tighter and snap. Purely because that white powder builds up, it clogs up around the thread, just wedges it tight, it's rusty anyway, bang, snaps the head off and you've got loads of grief. And I don't really want to snap any bolts off in the engine if I can help it. So I'm going to wait, can't do any more with that. Once the Rostoff ice turns up, I can start freeing off, getting penetrating oil into all that stuff over a few days, and I'll be able to get it all out. Lots of anti-seize and possibly, where necessary, new fasteners. I'm certainly going to replace the head studs as well, where the exhaust's held in, because I've seen I can buy new ones of those for £1 or so. So I'm definitely going to put a new set of 8 of those in. But for now, I can't get that bracket off. I'm not going to trust doing any more to those sort of screws. I'll leave them down there until I can get them out safely. And that bracket's got to move down about 1 inch. So I may even make a new one that's a different shape, that's a bit thicker, use some more of this 3mm thick sheet steel that I've got, make a beefier one so it holds it a little bit better, because that cooler is a little bit bigger. I don't think it's any heavier, but a beefier bracket's always better in it. But there we are, can't do anything with that in a minute. But all I can do to finish today is make a little bracket, just a piece of sheet metal that goes underneath, screws up underneath the oil cooler, then I can weld a tab on it once I can move that to meet up against the said tab. So let's get stuck in, last little bit today. Right, this stuff is the offcuts from the benches. I bought 2 8x4 sheets of 3mm cold rolled mild steel from a stock supplier to do the bench tops with. It was actually cheaper to buy 2 8x4 sheets than it was to buy them cut to size, even though the quantity was greater. And I've had all this, that's one piece, I've got another piece that big but a different shape. left over still from the job, and it's awesome because it's 3mm thick. It's practically metal plate, and for heavyweight stuff like brackets and whatnot, 3mm is a fantastic thickness because it's still flexible, so it doesn't crack like a 5mm thick piece of plate would do, and at the same time it bends. You can move it around, you can make it into the shapes you want with a lot less drama than big thick stuff. So it's great for this. It's not too heavy. I just need a strip that big to go underneath the oil cooler like that, and then I can weld a little tab on it underneath to put that mount onto, and that bit there's perfect. Okay, here's a little nugget for you. You can do this sort of thing. Cardboard templates. If you cut cardboard template out, or you draw a template out, you get your pen, you draw, and that's what you want to cut. So you put your pen down, reach for the scissors or the blade, whatever, and you cut your template out. When you cut it out, make sure that you cut inside the line. Don't cut on the line or outside it, obviously. Cut inside the line, effectively cutting the line off so it's out the way. Then pen, cardboard, on the steel, draw along the template. And as you draw along the template, you're replacing the line you've cut off on the metal, meaning that the line you draw on the metal is in precisely the same place as that line used to be, exactly where you need it to be. Then when you cut with your disc, cut along the line, but cut dead in the middle of the line. The line itself might only be 2mm wide or 1mm wide. Cut dead on that line, bang on. And then when you've cleaned up that piece of metal with a file or a sander or whatever, then hopefully the piece of steel and the piece of cardboard will be exactly the same size. Ain't odd, is it? Obviously cutting any piece of steel makes a rotten, nasty, vicious, evil sharp edge. Especially the thicker the more it's like it. 5-6mm thick stuff, you get really razor sharp ribbons along the edge and can rip your skin open in a second. So safe working practice. Obviously I will clean that off. I'll put a disc on it, I'll make a lovely edge on it, and that will be my finished piece. But don't forget your stock. That's what I just want to say. Don't forget your metal stock. I'm going to put this away now. It's going to go back down the back of the lathe bench and sit there until I need it again. And when I need it again, I don't want to come to it, put my hand on it and rip my skin open because I forgot to clean it up. It might be something you don't think to do when you're doing it. So whenever you cut a little piece of metal from your big parent stock, make sure you clean up the stock, make it nice and safe to touch, put your hand on for the next time you need it, or someone else needs it in the future. And hopefully there now you can see that that piece of steel, if I use the yellow cardboard as a telltale, that's exactly the same size all the way up. Nice and parallel. Awesome, there we are. So cardboard, cut inside the line, on the steel, cut on the line. When you've cleaned it up, exactly the same. Ta-da! Right, there we are. That's it for today. Can't do any more, I'm afraid. Bottom bracket underneath there gives me lots of options to weld stuff underneath. Now it's 3mm thick steel, I can do so much with that. I think what I'll do instead, the tab that goes underneath is just sitting behind there right now. When I get rid of that, get it off, what I might do is make a different one entirely, when I can get it off the engine altogether and that penetrating oil, release those threads. I'll take a look at that bracket. It's got to come down a little bit further, but I think what I'll do is, on the end, I'll just rotate it through 90 degrees so it sits flush up underneath here, and then just some flush bolts, some captive threads in there, and it will sit nice and out of the way, unobtrusive. You won't see it mounted underneath, it will be completely invisible, which is what I hope for this as well, and I put something across there to hide it. So both radiators will be properly, solidly beefed up there, nice and heavily mounted, but unobtrusive, so you can't see how they're mounted. That's what I want. There we are. And I will paint that black when the time comes, don't worry. But there we are. That's it for today. Day job beckons, can't do any more. I'm waiting for the penetrating oil. Once that comes, I can start releasing everything and move on to the next one for a little bit more fun welding with this. That's it. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, ride safe. I'll see you next time.